Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pod Shed. It is your host, Holman, and I'm excited for today's show because we're going to be catching up on content that's been sitting in the bank for a while. This is a interview that we did before SEMA, actually, and it's a great interview with one of my favorite people in the industry, Justin Andrews from Warren and Factor 55. He hasn't been on in a while, and, man, we covered a lot of stuff, and to me, when I was editing it, it just sounded like two old friends catching up, and those are some of my favorite interviews and pieces of content that we do. So we're going to get through that. I've got some other stuff that I'm going to try and get through before the end of the year because we just have a ton of bank content. There's a lot going on, so please stay tuned. And outside of that, man, just been driving the Gladiator around, collecting boxes. Our friends over at the Jeep brand and Mopar and JPP have been sending me stuff from the catalog. We're going to do some kind of easy upgrades on it to show what you can do with a Gladiator for that kind of weekend warrior and daily driver bit. So there'll be some content on social and OVR and on the podcast. Stay tuned for that, and been going through some boxes and getting some things installed on the 392 and keeping that build going. And after Christmas, I hope I have a lot more boxes to tear through because I'm going to be busy in the first part of the new year because I got a lot of installing to do. So I'll bring you guys along for the ride on that. But before we get started, we got to thank the companies that support the production of the Truck Show podcast. From now until December 31st, take advantage of AMSOIL's holiday offer. Spend $125 or more on synthetic oil, lubricants, greases, car care products, and yes, even merch, and get the AMSOIL Blocks UTV set for free. Use the promo code Holman2025 at checkout on AMSOIL.com. We use AMSOIL products to protect our rigs, and you should too. Have you considered getting your loved ones or yourself a brand new Kershaw knife for 40% off MSRP? This includes automatics, and the code can be used more than once. Kershaw has an extensive lineup of knives ranging from EDCs you won't be afraid to abuse to premium made-in-the-USA knives you'll want to share with your friends. The code is 2TSP2025, and get that new knife today at kershaw.kaiusa.com. If you want the latest in adventure, gear, and upgrades for your vehicle, go to OVRMag.com and use the code @TruckShowPodcast for a discount on print or a 1-year digital subscription for free. Please help me to keep the Truck Show podcast free by supporting our sponsors or leaving reviews on Apple or Spotify. And of course, don't forget to check TruckShowPodcast.com for the latest deals.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
Broadcasting today, or actually recording today from a rainy SoCal day, a rare superstorm coming through. We got the atmospheric river getting it all wet, but found a little bit of a break in the heavy stuff so I could record this. And instead of taking that rainy afternoon nap, I'm here recording this for you guys. All right, let's hear from Warren and Factor 55's guru of recovery, my friend, Justin Andrews. All right, so with me on the horn today is my good friend Justin Andrews from Warren and Factor 55. I think your title now is brand manager for both?
Yes, for both.
All right, well, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, you're telling me, my man. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
You got a lot on your plate, and that's why I wanted to get you back on the show because I had reached out to you talking about a winch for the new Jeep, and then we got to talking about the new winch lineup, and then we got to talking about some of the new gloves you have, and then we got to talking about some of the other factors, and I'm like, why don't we just have you on the podcast so we could just cover all of this and let everybody know, because you've been pretty busy rolling out product, and there's been some little stuff that everybody should have. There's been some big stuff for the next time that you need recovery gear or winch and kind of everything in between. So we'll get into that, but first, we got to play your jingle.
Prepare to dive.
Prepare to dive!
Hi, Captain! Captain, we're too deep!
There's no such thing as too deep. Okay, that was too deep.
So we're gonna go too deep with you today. So
that sounds like Pete Holmes, like the comedian doing his Batman impression.
Yeah, totally right.
I love that.
So
Too deep.
I don't know where to start. Maybe we'll start with Factor 55 because I've got a huge thumbs up and then a bone to pick with you. So I'll start there. And so
Oh, I love it. Okay.
the huge thumbs up is you guys recently came out with a new recovery glove. They're called the Roper X gloves, and you did it in collaboration with the Sullivan Glove Company. And these are rigging and recovery gloves that are made to essentially last. I mean, these could be heirloom gloves in your bag, depending on how much you use them. I bought a pair because I love a good pair of work gloves. These things are they're made in the United States, in Oregon, I believe, right? And
Yep. In Bend. Yep.
Yep, in Bend. So made in the USA. They're super comfortable. They fit awesome. The listener can't see this, but we're on Zoom, so you can see me. And I have used these just for like stuff at the ranch. I'm like, you know what? I got these from my recovery bag. I stole them from my recovery bag, and now I have to buy another pair to put in my recovery bag because I love these things so much.
Yeah, actually, just funny enough is that Max Dollinger, our good buddy from Rock Shock 4x4,
Yeah.
just had a Smoky Mountain Jeep invasion a couple of weeks ago. Max ended up buying 4 pairs of them just for himself. And I was like, it's like he came and got a pair, and then he came back and, well, I got to leave them in the truck, and Mom, I'll get another pair for this. I was like, dude, like, holy crap, man. He bought 4 pairs of gloves for us just the one.
They're only like $90, and $90 isn't a lot, but you might think, oh, $90 is a lot for a glove. But the reason I love these, so the palm is American Buffalo. And so if you know what American Buffalo, how durable, it can be soft and also durable at the same time, and it's tobacco brown, they're two-tone. And then on the backside, it's like that gold color in American Elk, 4 ounce on each. And then they've got the Factor 55 logo. And again, what I love about it is Bison or American Buffalo is so good for abrasion resistance, durability. It actually ends up being a really great material for winching applications.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about a lot of things, I always default back to this, especially growing up in Idaho, that cowboys had this stuff figured out a long time ago. Right? Yeah. And a lot of it too is like when you think about like even Native Americans making moccasins and things like this. I mean, they were using this for shoes. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the fact that how robust that leather really is. And one of the things with the mechanics gloves or synthetic gloves like that, especially with the polymers that winch ropes are made out of in general, they're really slick.
Yeah.
And so they tend to slide. And then plus, once you're like stacking rocks or just moving stuff around on the trail or touching hot exhaust or grabbing onto sharp metal things on vehicles, you also want to protect to make sure that you end up always being like the asset and not the liability. Because as soon as somebody's bleeding, the narrative
everything changes. And if you're the guy that understands recovery and you're there to kind of guide that process, if you're out of the game, then that makes it dangerous for everybody else, right? If you're the guy who
100%.
was brought along. The other thing I would say is, how many times have you been in the desert and you pull out a winch line and it's synthetic and it goes through a cactus or something on the ground, and then you get the synthetic gloves and those needles go right through a synthetic glove into your palm?
Right through them.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then I was, funny enough, I was talking to Dave Wong of, from like all the competitive rock crawling that Dave does. And one of the things that he even mentioned was one of his spotters, he was going through a pair of mechanics gloves at every event, just from stacking the rocks and stuff. You know what I mean? So when you think about you're spending $20, $30, $40 even on a pair of just basic gloves like this, asking $90 for a premium product that can deal with the abuse and last a long time is more than easy to do. And really part of it's been a big passion project of ours where we, even when we made our recovery kits, we're still one of the only companies that has every single kit that we offer, every single component that comes in the kit, including the bag itself, is USA sourced and made. And so it makes it to where we didn't want to just throw in some crappy pair of gloves.
Yeah.
And so it became this whole thing like, how are we going to go through this process? And we started to reach out to all these like different leather people and different companies. And then we ended up, really connecting with Sullivan. And dude, they've been in business longer than Warren has been in business. They started their business in 1941. And just like, as you can see the video on our YouTube channel, they talk about this equipment that's in their shop. They bought with a war bond from World War II. Like,
crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're still using it. And it's so fascinating to watch them go
and the
through
patterns, I think they're still using some of the same patterns for gloves.
Dude,
now they've expanded their line,
cool.
but
yeah, man, it's the coolest thing, dude.
Yeah.
And like and to get into like, you get to see where like on the hides where flies like bit the animal, and
Yeah, right.
you know what I'm saying? It's so
Yeah.
neat. You know what I mean? And it really was a real passion project to come up with, because my problem specifically, one of the big features that I loved was, you always should be wearing gloves, and it's the number one thing you want to put on before you approach a vehicle recovery and doing these things, is
Totally.
protecting your hands. And so we went through this whole process where I was like, well, my problem is I never know where they are, right? I stuff them in the door, I put them in the center console, they're in the bag, they're wherever. And so every time I go out on the trail, I was like, well, I want to have access to these. Well, if I put them in my pocket, they fall out of my pocket. If I try to like put them on my belt, like they never seem to be, it's never a comfortable fit. And so that's where that little stamped hole in the
Yep.
bottom of the wrist made it to where you could actually put a carabiner there, and then clip them onto your belt. So now you have easy access to where they're always there. And then the other thing is that when you put them on, then you also have a finger pocket to help pull the gloves on and keep them snug up into your hands. So it was an incredible like purpose built idea. The same thing with the wrist flare being wide, so they were easy on and off in case you needed to get them off.
But you got the
And then also,
triangle there, so you can
yeah,
close up that
exactly.
gap, and you've got the button, and that allows it to like fit around your wrist without like water or snow or whatever getting down into the glove, but they're easier to get on because of that flare.
Well, and also protecting your watch, right? You
Yeah.
got a nice watch on, right? So it's also protecting that. And then by having, so you have that real thick, durability of the bison on the bottom, and then the elk is super stretchy. And so as you're closing your palm and grabbing onto things, it's not like tight on around your whole hand. Now that kind of thing like led into, a further idea that was also, because you have the gold on the top and that tobacco brown, that reddish color on the bottom, it's also a visual indicator for when you're spotting on the trail. So when you have the hands up, it's stop, 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 or turning them about, you're come,
Yeah.
right, as you're trying to like spot people on the trail with it. So all of these things just worked out to be, what I feel is like the perfect pair of gloves that, that will last a long time. And then because of that thick leather, you can weld on the trail, you can do all these things, and you don't have to worry about, risking your hands there. And the pair that I've had, so we just released these, right? They just came out in August.
Yeah.
But the pair that I've had from them, I've had for 3 years. That's how long it took to get this deal done. And so I have 3 King of the Hammers, 3 Easter Jeep Safaris, 3, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, 3 years.
And you're one of those people that you're out in the field all the time. You're
All
at
the
every
time.
show. You're working the
Yeah.
races. You're doing, you're not just like the guy back in the office and sending people out. You're out there. I see. Well, usually when I see you, it's out in the world.
Yeah, so we do 50 trade shows a year, right? And now with the semi being out on the road all the time, like, so in fact, I'm really bummed because this weekend is Sand Sports Super Show.
Yeah.
And I normally would have been there, but we actually have some new power sports managers and that kind of thing, so they're really taking over to do a lot of stuff for that particular event. But I'll be leaving next weekend. I'm doing a winch training in Spokane, Washington, and then turn right around from that, and then I'll be at Trail Hero all week. So like, these things get abused, right?
Yeah.
I use them, abuse them. And the fact that they still look brand new. And one of the things that got brought up from just at Windrock, because after Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, we did wheeling with Warren at Windrock. And that's been kind of going on for 5 or 6 years at this point. And one thing that kind of got brought up from that was we were showing some of the new products, which we'll get into here shortly. But we're filming and doing some stuff with the new products and using them out on the trail. And the gloves got covered in that soppy, oily, gross mud.
Yeah.
Right. And then it made me realize, like, oh, well, now I got a whole nother content bit where this is how you wash the leather.
Yeah.
This is how you condition it. This is how you take care of it and make them last. And dude, it was amazing. I ended up washing the gloves, getting all this thick ass mud off of there. And then I didn't have any leather conditioner, but somebody had some like Curel hand lotion, like, you know what I mean? And it's water based.
I've got the baseball glove conditioner for my kid. She plays softball,
Oh, yeah.
so that would be perfect for this stuff,
Yeah, exactly. So it goes right in there, and all of a sudden the glove is supple again.
Yeah.
And dude, it just even revitalizes the life of it because it is like a skin, like a second skin, and it's like, man, these
Literally.
things can really last forever. You know what I mean? They're so great, man.
I know that's a lot of glove talk, but I'm telling you, I'm so impressed by these things that I've got this pair which I stole. I put it in my recovery bag and then I took them back out, and I've been using them when I'm up at the property, and I'm just going to get a second pair. So I've got a gloves for when I'm up at the ranch, and then gloves for when I got to do recovery. And I also like how all the stitching's done on the inside, so they look really good, but they're still really comfortable. It's a great glove, but the one thing that I have a bone to pick about it is I got these gloves. All right, I bought them. They came to the house. I put them on. I even asked you about sizing, and you're like, do this, and they were perfect. Perfect size. Everything was perfect. And so I went to factor55.com, and I went to the Roper X Gloves page, and I scrolled down to reviews. And it says, write a review. So I wrote a review. I put pictures on there, 5-star. I'm like, these things are awesome. It's been like a month, and there's like no review on there. Who's doing your website?
What?
Let's get some reviews up there because I personally have some.
I did not know that, John. I have to go check that out because so long story long here. Well, I'll try to keep it short. But what ended up happening is when we got acquired by Warren Industries, we had a WooCommerce platform website, right? And so we did that forever. And then when we got acquired, part of the big thing was like with the culmination of all the Warren family of brands, we moved that platform to Knop Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of stuff where like Keystone was actually fulfilling a lot of our website orders because it was trying to get to the point to where like, let's say if you're ordering in Maine, it was going to ship out of a place in Pennsylvania, right? So it was just trying to eliminate lead time of, getting parts to customers, even logistically faster. And then what ended up happening is we finally just revamped everything onto a Shopify platform and brought all that inventory and everything back in-house here in Boise. So we're basically back to operating the way that we did even kind of pre-acquisition. And so because of that this website is brand new as of like the end of June.
Well,
so
it's a great website, by the way. It's a great website, and I just preparing for the show, and I use Factor 55. I love Factor 55 products, all that stuff. But just know that they're behind on some reviews, and you can have some 5 stars up there.
So I'm going to handle that as soon as we're done here today. I promise you.
I was so proud of it, too. I'm like, I'm going to do this review, and then I'm going to send it to Justin.
I'm going to screenshot it and put it on social in your face.
Totally. And I was going to be all proud. I didn't get a chance to do that. So anyway, love the gloves. What else from Factor 55 before we move to the big new products at Warren should we hit on while I have your attention?
So literally this morning, I made a post we just released another 5 new products outside of the gloves. So just this morning, we got a big announcement that we did for the Ultra Hook, the Hitch Link, and the Flat Link E. We now are offering it into like kind of a deep purple color. So that was something we want to get a new colorway. So
nice.
that adds into the suite of products where there's like a 392 like bronze and gold color.
I have those, and so funny story about that is when it was at the Overland show, I think in Orange County, and I saw Gary Woofter there, and Gary's like, "Hey, I noticed that on your Jeep you've got everything's the gray colorway or the whatever the anodized mil spec or whatever that is, right?" And he goes, that we offer the 392, and it was like a limited run, but I have some here. So he got me a new Ultra Hook, the new Easy, or I think it's the Ultra Hook Link and something. Oh, the Hitch Link, I think, and there's
probably the Hitch Link too.
Yeah. And so I had those, and I was going to put them on. They were in my Jeep when I rolled it on the way to Moab, and they survived in the bag and ended up coming home because I didn't have time to put them on before Easter Jeep Safari, so I was going to put them on in the garage at our Airbnb. So those are going on the new Jeep as soon as it gets home.
Oh, that's great. Well, awesome. Yeah. So like this is just an expansion into some new colorways. Just that, because people have been asking for some various other color options. So we just brought that. We brought the OD green back. So we have that military green color as well. So that's back.
And that's cool because that's more of a matte finish, right? So if you look at all the colors, so you've got, red, the blue, you've got the bright yellow, you've got the silver, which almost looks like a polished aluminum the way it comes out. Which is
actually, in the silver is actually a Type 2 ano finish.
It's a hard, And then the gray, and you get the orange that matches the new Jeep juice color. You've got the green that's really close to the Mojito, black, and then you start getting into with bronze, of course. Then you start getting into like that flat green. And then now purple. So you've got this great colorway of bright stuff, of flat stuff, of people who have more of a, jalopy like my desert colored flat fender, and
Yeah.
so you have something for everybody. I love these products, and it's fun to see that you're making them available in a lot, wide variety of products and in color ways, because they love using these as the accent, especially if you take off the Jeep bumper and put on an aftermarket bumper, you lose the colored tow hooks. And I feel like people are putting Factor 55 back on to get those pops of accent color back on their vehicles.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, part of it is it's form and function. I mean, there's not very many things that we get in life that look good and go good, right? And so that was one of the biggest, like, kind of fundamental basis when it came to like the precision engineering and the foundation of what Factor 55 is. Honestly, if it was up to Mike when we first started the company, he would have left everything gunmetal gray, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
he would never would have wanted to inventory or do anything else. And it just, and then for me, as being a diehard Jeeper, I'd be like, every time we see a new colorway from Jeep, we would just be matching the paint code. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just is what it is, right? But
even if it's a
so
short
just
run
fun.
or something, right? Like, it's still
Yeah,
worth
so-
it for that person to have that color match.
Well, and that's what we used to do with the OD Green. So like we would get these orders from like either like Green Berets or some special forces units or like the Air Force or things like this, and they would order everything in that federally regulated OD Green color.
Yeah.
And so you have to do you got to do a minimum rack of them when you're running them through powder coating and all these things. And so we would fulfill these orders. And then we would just put them up on the website because we were just in total control of all that. And now it's just gotten to a point where between Toyota, Jeep, I mean, you name it, like there's those like the Sarge green and like all these other colors that are out there that people are really interested in that colorway. And, and I still think that we'll offer some other ones. Like we make the pink, that like the Tuscadero stuff specifically for like Tapas for Tatas and supporting some of those organizations. So those colorways are also widely available. And the neat thing, like we tell everybody, is like, you can always take these parts too, sandblast them and powder coat them yourself. And we're now getting to a place to where we're almost ready to turn on a feature to have the end user be able to send the part back to us so we can re-engrave it for you. So if you have a very specific color you're trying to match and trying to be, connect and be cool with the end customer as well along that lines.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the products that I want to bring up, this is an old product. It's been around for a long time, but it's one of the more affordable Factor 55 pieces and probably an unsung hero in some sense. It's so important. Everybody knows how to go to Home Depot and get a Chinese hitch pin, and then they trust their entire recovery gear or their trailer hitch or whatever off of that. And I've seen so many videos online where the hitch pin bends, breaks, flies out, becomes a projectile, or allows the hitch itself to be a projectile. You guys still make the quick release hitch pin, and it's right now on the website. It's $18, and it's 303 plus high strength stainless steel, and it has a 50,000 pound shear strength, and it's made right here in the USA. And that's one of those things that should be in everybody's recovery bag. It's affordable, it's quality, and it could save your life one day, whether that means yanking yourself or a friend out of a predicament or not braking and going through the windshield and hitting somebody in the head. So I just wanted to point that out. It's one of those things that people don't really think about because, I can just go down to Home Depot and grab it. Don't do that. Go to factor55.com and buy their quick release hitch pin. It's cheap insurance to make sure that your system is set.
And exactly along those lines too. One of the other cool things that we did is that even with the lockable version, right? The tumblers are actually made in Chicago, and the cool thing even about the lockable pins, for those people that want some more security, they get batch made in batches of 50, so you can actually get multiple pins that use one key. So you're not having to you're not having to run around trying to find like, oh man, which key goes to which car and like the whole thing, So there's that was a lot of things that we put a lot of thought into like that. And so when we did the destructive testing for the hitch pins, I mean, that was one of the biggest things that we wanted to put out. It's like, look, man, like there's nobody else that's making and proving what the shear strength on their hitch pins are. Because for the most part, they will work because the hitch links, create the pin to be put in a double shear in the hitch receivers.
Yep.
But
that's assuming they're using your product and not wrapping a loop from a toe strap around a ball or putting the toe strap in and just counting on the pin to hold all that load.
because in that place you're dealing with bending forces, and so it starts to yield in the middle of it, and just even you'd be surprised at the light loads that'll start to bend those, and then you have to cut them out anyway. And so
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, it's kind of like one of those unsung heroes that lingers on there. So yeah, pretty cool.
And even
Um,
the locking hitch pin with the 2 keys, $53 right now on the website. Like, just
that's how much a locking, yeah, it's how
yeah.
much a locking hitch.
I mean,
It's how much it costs.
that
Dude.
might be the cheapest thing on your Jeep, and it could save your life. Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you
Why
grab
would you do
a
it?
$53 locking or a quick release $18 hitch pin? Just go do that. That's Truck Show Podcast says go do that.
Yeah, and if you come down like doing that, and anybody that comes to see us at any of the events that we attend, we always have show specials on those too, and so they're even cheaper to buy them from us in person. Like
Yeah.
we're always doing the best that we can to like hook up the community, and then and also for anybody that listens to this now, and by the time this launches out, I mean, be looking forward to like our Black Friday sale, which is the biggest one we have every year. So like there's so much stuff that we're going to be releasing, so that's where part of this too, just like today, like we released the new colorway for the purple. We also did these really badass thing where we now made the ultra hook and the hitch link in a keychain. They're actually billet machined little keychains.
Oh, that's
And
rad.
they are sick, dude. It's the coolest thing. Like I really, we had talked about doing it forever ago, because what we had done is for Mike, for his 50, I think it was his 55th birthday. We had actually made a little mini ultra hook, and then we called it the Mike Grow hook, and we'd give it to him as a gift.
That's
And for
rad.
years we had been talking about making these and kind of doing that, especially for like all the RC fans out there and all
Totally.
this stuff. But they're really like, we billet machine them. It's a billet machine, hard anodized, like little unit. That's this cool little neat kind of thing. So that's like, I think it's a pretty special little thing that I'm excited that we got those out. Very, very cool to have those as a neat little like add-on kind of product, and for fans of the brand. And then we also just released, we're now selling USA made traction boards.
Oh, sweet.
Via Action Tracks. So those are now available on the website. So we really wanted, in the world of traction boards, there are a ton of options. The one thing that separates these apart that we really liked was the flexibility of them, because it's a proprietary DuPont polymer compound. They are essentially like, dude, they are damn near indestructible. I mean, have been more and more amazed every time I've gone to use these. They really wrap around the tires. They really fold and bend. They're one of the only boards that you can actually bend them at a 90-degree and they snap back flat. It's pretty amazing.
So you can. The picture on the web or on your Instagram post shows a set of the traction boards doubled up on bridging one rock to the other, so the Jeep doesn't have to drop down into the hole, and they're bent. The deflection is probably
look how
6
contorted
inches,
they
8
are.
inches.
Yeah. So now you think of the possibility of what those things can do, and they just bounce right back. So one of the video follow-up that we'll have from the Wheeling with Warren event from this last year, man, we used them out at Windrock, bridging rocks, doing all those things. It's amazing what those things are capable of doing. And plus with the winch training and the recovery training certification stuff we're working on in the future, which we'll talk about later, like that's going to be a key part of this, and it's a USA made product. So we are really excited to have that available, and the accessories that we have in mind that will also come to be released alongside of this is really key, because especially for our military, fire, law, search and rescue, we're really trying to turn it in for Factor 55 to be a one-stop shop. I mean, that's why it's not by chance. Like, that's why Warren acquired the brand, right?
Yeah.
So it's and then we also we had released last year our crossbeam shackle, which is our permanent shackle that goes on like a bumper tab. So it's meant to act as a permanent dedicated attachment point, similar to what you find with some like master link things on the back of tow trucks, or even on Humvees and that type of thing. And then it color matches, right? We wanted to do it so where it would color match into matching whatever winchline shackle mount you had. And we released those, but the problem was that it's also because of how big they are, and they can clang on the bumper. And so trying to get the right rubber pad to come up with that was pretty interesting, to try to solve that little problem. So we now have a rubber isolator kit that's available for them. What's really neat is if you look at that rubber isolator, you'll see that there's a valley around the center circumference of that.
Yep.
So that's so key because of the circle that's in the crossbeam. When you go to push that rubber pad in there, it indents, so it allows it to pop through the circle and then snap back into place.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
really the detail in the design of even just like a rubber pad like that, to make it to be very functional is pretty cool. The other thing is as those things are hanging on your Jeep or your truck, if you get bogged and get into the mud, it'll also prevent that from packing into the shackle until you pop that rubber pad out to have access to the shackle.
Yeah.
So it's a very cool piece, that I think that will now pair very well together, for those, for the cross beams, and really kind of help to move, that out there, as well. So I'm really excited about that. And
It also
then
allows you to have your shackle. So a lot of people keep them in their bag. They don't put them because people steal them off your Jeep or
Yeah, 100%.
whatever. But when you hit the trail, if you know you're doing something technical, a lot of people hang them for the duration of the trip on the trail so they don't have to go digging through a bag and they're ready. This allows them to be at the ready, on the bumper, not clanging around, making noise, not damaging anything. Boom.
looking
ready to go.
good,
Yeah, looking good.
matching everything,
Yeah.
man. And it just being this, and being lighter weight and really ultra strong too. So we still have yet, because one of the things that got into this, we still have some destructive test video to share of that. So I have a bunch of stuff that's going to go. We still have stuff to release to be talking about for the cross beam. So there's a lot of that we're going to still get into, and best scenarios of uses and all these things. And so very excited about having those, and now the rubber pads to get in there to really kind of promote those two products together. And then we also just released USA made snap ring pliers. So all of our winch line
Nice.
shackle mounts, right?
Yeah.
All of our winch line shackle mounts all take an internal snap ring to attach them to the winch lines. The cross beam shackles attached to your bumper via a snap ring as well. And even for some of the new parts that we have coming out, so even upcoming new parts, this tool will be very effective to be able to use that. Yeah, it's $40. You can get cheap snap ring pliers from other places, but this is a USA made tool, and people have been asking for it for a long time, and it was really cool to get that across the finish line. So so we just released the gloves. We just got 5 new products here, just today. We have another 3 that are coming up that are going to release.
No. You're taking too much out of my bank account right now,
I'm just
because
telling you, dude. I'm just saying, man. I got stuff to do, Sean.
I'm telling you, like it's rare somebody says, "Oh, we launched 5 new products." You're like, "All right, 2 are a gimme, and 1 I care about." I actually could use and want all 5 of these ones. Like, what are you doing to me? I thought we were friends.
So part of the whole thing, dude, is like, when Warren bought the company, we had over 150 new product ideas that Mike and I just simply never had the chance to like move through. Factor 55 has always been this boutique little company here with our machine shop and everything in Idaho, and it's been, it was hard to, try to get that, grow sales, do all of the things, do the events, do all the stuff that we were doing anyway. And so then since Warren acquired the business, that also opened up to another few hundred products that still need to be done. And so there's still 200 plus ideas that are on the table for things for us to develop. So we have even 12, 13 years into doing this. We are just, really, bro, we're like just getting started.
Well, I have a brand new Jeep, and so like I have to start from zero on a lot of this stuff, and
not by chance, Sean. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what I mean.
That's just the way life works out, huh?
Yeah, you had to almost die for you to be my test dummy.
That's right. Well, and I want to go back real quick to the USA made traction boards, because there's a gazillion types of boards out there. There's all these Chinese companies. There's the original boards, which are fantastic boards, but the company is different today than it was, and the distribution of how it got to America and stuff is kind of different. And so it kind of, I don't want to say left a bad taste in people's mouths, but there was a way that it came to be that got changed that was kind of like a oof. And having an alternative, I don't necessarily think is a horrible idea. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, and so and look, dude, and I love those guys, right? And I have a ton of friendship in this industry, and loyalty to a lot of these dudes. But when we're really, man, when it comes to like, there's no skin in the game for those guys anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And for us, it's also about USA made products.
Yeah,
and it's always been that theme. That's kind of the hill that we'll die on at Factor 55, for the integrity and everything we've done for our brand. What we really feel the value for the life safety into the product line. And this is just, this is a path forward for making a product that I really feel needs to be utilize, because like, as an example, like one of the things I use the traction boards more for anything else, because like, when we're rock crawling, like, dude, we're not really using traction boards. You know what I
No.
mean? Like we do, right? But what I do use them for is when I lay them down on the ground to run the winch line over top of it so it doesn't get abraded on a rock.
Oh,
Right?
or on top of what they're really good for, and I've used them for this too, is if you're using a winch line to pull yourself out of mud and you got mud in front of you, you can run the traction boards on top of the mud and use them as like a pathway.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's so many other outside applications for this. The same thing, even where like when you take like your tree saver or a bigger strap that go around a rock, you can put the traction board on the backside of the rock and wrap the strap around the traction board so it doesn't abrade your strap. There's so many things that these things can take abuse of and be very helpful in such a multitude of other ways. And it was funny because even with my JK, like I have the Gen Right tire carrier right in the back of my JK. And so I've got a set of boards that I've always had that have been back there for years and years. And people are always like, "What are you doing with those overland boards, bro? Like, we're the hammers." And I'm like, "Yeah, man,
Watch
they're
me.
not for me. Like, they're for like when it snows 2 feet in Boise,
Yeah.
and I got to get the minivan out of the driveway across the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so they're such a useful tool and product in so many other ways. And so the accessories that we have in mind to pair up with these, some of the other things that will set that out, that will start to set this apart, for us, and then also with the education and training programs we have coming up, I think is going to be such a key thing for the future moving forward, and really making Factor 55 again that one-stop shop kind of place.
Oh, totally.
For quality equipment.
I mean, keep OVR Mag in me in mind, because I am super curious about some of these product lines that you're moving into, especially with the training aspect behind it too. The thing I love about recovery is no two recoveries are the same, and with the equipment, you could have 5 different correct ways to recover something. It's a challenge. It's a puzzle. Sometimes you learn and you have to adapt. It's dynamic. It really requires you to take a step back, survey the entire situation, and understand a little bit of physics, understand what's possible, understand limitations on vehicle, chassis, bumper, side pull, all that stuff, and put it all together to have the safe recovery. And I love that about it. And you on the YouTube channel and the things that you do on social, showing all the different ways. There's always a learning opportunity. You can never fully learn everything when it comes to recovery. And even some of the fun videos, like I think it was at Mountain West, maybe you were walking through the parking lot and you had your splicer and somebody had a hook there.
So, dude,
yeah, and you basically
that was actually at Smoky Mountain. Yeah.
Oh, Smoky Mountain. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And there was a broken winch line and a hook hanging by itself, and you took the splicing tool for synthetic line, which you guys sell. It's a kit that's been out for a little while now. And then you did a video of splicing this guy's hook, fixing his rope right there in the parking lot, and walking away. Like, oh, this guy doesn't need a new line. He just needs it to be spliced and fixed. I did it. Done.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny too, because I saw that as we were walking into the event center, and then and luckily I was able to hit the dude up on Instagram because he had his Instagram handle on the side of his Jeep.
Oh, nice, yeah.
It turns out he was actually at the booth buying the Fast Fid while I was out in the parking lot doing that. And I had not talked to him about it beforehand, so people are like, you see some of the comments, staged. I was like, no, this is like legit. I literally walked by that guy and was like, "Are you serious, man? Like, what is going tying knots on this?" Like, so when it's so easy, right? So I mean, like, we're really trying to be, very engaging when it comes to the use of our products, and really more about the educational piece to that, because there's so much misinformation that's out on the internet, and so many people are like, seeing ways of doing it wrong, and so we're really trying to get behind that value of like, the cool thing is you take the guesswork out when you come to purchase products from us. I mean, we are a for-profit business. Right. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that, but the thing about learning about these things, it also helps you mitigate those risks. So that you're not going to have, bad things happen, in those situations when you're in the backcountry, for sure.
Well, with all the products and education that you guys put out there, I think, you often hear this.
THANKYOU, thank you. Thank you.
On behalf of off-road enthusiasts and podcast listeners everywhere, we appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank
man. Well, let's jump over to the other brand, and that's Warn, and that kind of got this whole conversation kind of fired back up. And I had reached out and said, hey, rebuilding the Jeep. I got a new one. And now I see you have a new line of winches that apparently were released when I was on my forced sabbatical for a while. So I had to get up to speed, and then that kind of got us talking about getting back on the podcast. So let's hit up those new winches because they're pretty rad.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited, dude. Like I think that especially coming into this, but now being the brand manager for Warren and kind of stepping in here and taking over to do that, it's been a very cool opportunity. And also like just like you, man, I'm an ultimate diehard enthusiast, and the only thing everything I do in my life leads me to try to think about when the next time I'm going to get to go jeeping is, right? I mean, that's just how it is. I always just think about
6 months for me right now since the last time I was jeeping, and I am like, I'm having the shakes. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly,
teeth chatters, and I'm flying out to Michigan, go grab it from AV, and I'm driving it home, and everybody's like so worried about me. They're like, dude, are you going to be okay? I'm like, yes, I'm going to be fine. I need this. I need the windshield time. I need to get in a new Jeep. I need to just roll down the windows and pop off the freedom panels and just drive west into the sunset. It's just what I need to kind of like feel like I'm back,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, man. And so like, I think that was one of the big eye-opening things coming into this beforehand, because I think there was, there with Warren, it has gone through so many changes, especially in the last 20 years, from when Mike Warren finally, first sold the company to Dover, and then the company was acquired by LKQ. And then there was a lot, and then the mission changes, right? From when it became, there was a lot of focus that was put on the manufacturing. So now the Warren plant in Clackamas is an ISO quality certified facility, right? Because of our OE partnerships with Ford, Jeep, Toyota. I mean, like you name it, right? So there was a lot of focus on the manufacturing capabilities that was there. And then in order to deal with that and capital equipment and all kinds of things that happen with a 500 person business like we have, and 77 years of being in business, there's a lot of navigating that has to happen. And, it was, what are we going to be doing as far as getting the next generation of these winches done and across the finish line? And for what it's worth, a lot of these were kind of ready to go. They were ready to go back in like, even kind of pre-COVID, right? Back during that time. And it just wasn't possible to get those done. Because literally for 2 years, everything was like on hold, right? So,
well, and then the other side of it was during that time, there were some other winch manufacturers, some legitimate that are known throughout the world that are a really good winch that other manufacturers kind of picked up if there was a hole in the supply chain and they were able to grab it, right? So people got exposed to some other brands. And then there was a lot of Chinese knockoffs that came flooding into the market that were really cheap but had a lot of features on them. And you kind of went back to Warren was the brand that's trusted, premium, reliable, but it might not have this crazy, feature set, with all this stuff. You could add the Bluetooth controller, and there's some, there was the Platinum line that had a little bit of that. But now you guys are fully competitive with some of the features people have really started to ask for, and especially on the XP lineup, I'm like,
yeah.
Dude.
And so that's one of the biggest things, right? Because for us, it really taking the feedback too from like all the real world use and what it was to get some of this stuff across the finish line, and just even for what is yet to come, is the most exciting piece to that. And to be able to think, like, look, man, I just turned 45, and I think that I'm going to be able to spend, easily, I could spend another 20 years like working here.
Yeah.
And so to make that to be like, that I get to be a part of this family's legacy and represent this premium brand in the way that I get to is literally like the biggest joy and pleasure in my life. I mean, I cannot stress that enough of how much I love this and doing this. And so now to have this product line to finally like step up to make it to where like, we finally got the Xeon XD released last year, and the XD was the first iteration to take it was 10 years, man, since we released the first version of the Xeon. And a lot of people forget that even with the Xeon lineup, I mean, dude, that was the first winch that came out that was symmetrical.
Yeah.
That the motor, that the gear, the planetary gear set and the motor was in the same casing with the control pack. It looked good on the front of the vehicle. There was all these things that was about it that was so much different that everybody else has just followed the knockoff what Warren sets the standard for. And that goes back to like, there's a great, we just released our King of the Hammers documentary just about a month ago. It took that long to get the thing edited and released, but and it's up on the Warren YouTube channel. And there's a good section in that video where we talk about the legacy and the history of the company. And one thing I always like to reiterate for everybody is that, like in 1948, Arthur Warren founded Warren Industries, and he invented the locking hub, and that's what started the brand.
Yeah.
And then by the early 50s, he was already supplying to every OE on the planet. And then it turned into that right in 1959, Warren released the first electric winch. So it starts here. Like we go in and out of four-wheel drive, and we're recovering our vehicles in the backcountry because of this brand. Like that's the history and the legacy that's tied up into Warren, and why it really, the championship for innovation and driving that kind of messaging forward is a real, passion and focus moving forward here. And so for the Xeon XD, it's literally got the fastest no load line speed of any low mount winch on the market right now. And
by the
to
way,
be in this,
that's what we went with on my Jeep. In case you guys were curious, I did the Xeon XD, I believe the 12S. So I've got the higher rating synthetic line, and then the XP, which is awesome for me because I'm not in a situation where I'm using my winch all the time. I'm like, okay, I don't need all the bells and whistles for me personally, but they're there and they're available. But I have on mine the new XD, and I am so stoked. And if you're curious, the footprint is almost identical, and in fact, in some dimensions, smaller than the original Xeon.
absolutely, yeah.
So it'll
Slightly
fit.
smaller.
Yeah. So if it'll fit, so like for me on an AEV bumper, you know how notorious they are for winch fitment, and I had to get the specs from you, and I asked AEV, and they go, "We haven't even put one on a bumper. We don't know. We always use the Xeon." So I think mine's the first factory built AEV with the new XD in their bumper. So that's kind of cool too. So in case you're curious, the footprint is the same or smaller, and you can use that in any place that you're currently using current Xeon, which is awesome because people don't have to go redesign for this new winch. The platform is the chassis is almost identical, which I think is a huge win for the industry.
Yeah, and so there's some stuff that carried over, like the aluminum winch drum for dissipating the heat inside of there. The same thing with our patented winch line attachment to the drum. All these things, but one of the biggest improvements was that in between the motor, the winch drum, the transmission, and the planetary gear section, every single section of the winch has got a silicone rubber gasket that is 100% watertight. Like there is no intrusion that's going into any of those. There's no chance for that thing to break down. It actually sits in a machined groove in the housing, so it's so when you tighten the bolts, it's compressed at the right pressure, so you can't over tighten it and blow the gasket out. And the way that winch comes out of the box is the way that it will be working and functioning 10 years from now if it's sitting on the front of your vehicle. It was such a huge improvement into the design of that. Then it came into the motors being put in there, and the line speed being added to the step down to the gear train, being in that smaller capacity, everything being IP68 and 69 rated.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Well,
it was
also
just,
go back to real quick the IP69K spray testing. That's on the entire unit. That's not just on like the end caps or whatever. That's the whole thing. And your IP68 is for full submersion, and corrosion resistance is a 408-hour salt spray test. So like you guys have done a bunch of stuff. Oh, and then also the OE grade bus bars. How freaking cool that you have bus bars now, high quality. That's awesome.
And the same little Torx bolts that are on the tie bar plates dude, they look just like the same little Torx bolts that are on the outside of all of our Jeeps.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's all OEM grade hardware. There's like we really worked hard to eliminate any type of the sun fading, all these things. And then also backed by the Warren's warranty. It's such a home run product, and then we were able to make that thing. Now it doesn't come in. There's no longer an 8, 10, and 12. It's now a 10, 12, and a 14,000-pound winch in that same size and capacity. And if you look, anybody else that's trying to even play in that space, in that same type of, in a low mount, in that same type of size of winch, 13.5 is the best that they get, and ours is a 14,000-pound rating. So even for a lot of guys who, when you're in this, like, you get mid-sized to 1 ton truck option, and you're like, well, that jump used to be from like the 12 to like a 16.5 Ti, and that's a
There's a
huge
big
winch.
difference. Yeah.
It's a huge
Monster.
difference. So now to fit that other little gap right in there, especially with the overland vehicles, Sprinter
Yep.
vans, that type of thing.
I can't
that
even imagine.
14K
Sprinter vans are like the perfect example of that, right? Because they're not quite a full-size truck platform, and unibody and a little bit lighter, but the payload is crazy on them. People way overbuild them, so you have this sort of like full-size but not heavy-duty size vehicle that could weigh as much as a heavy-duty truck.
Absolutely. And so that's where that 14K just hits the sweet spot.
Totally.
And then, but it also fits into the bumper easy, right? So now it's making it easier for the end consumer as well to do that. And then the other big feature was too is that they're only coming with synthetic rope, so we don't even have a steel cable option anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see, overall in the last, the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That adaptation.
I was going to say
to
20
rope fibers, whole thing,
because I remember being at Four Wheeler, back in the early 2000s when Spydura came out as an option on the racing winches, and then they said, "Oh, we're going to make it an option on the consumer winches," and you're like, "Nah, I don't know." And then we had to really dig down and explain to people, why would you want to go from this amazing, aircraft rope cable to this, boat tie down system or whatever, right? And that was a jump for a lot of people, especially in rocks and abrasion and UV. But then there's so many benefits with flexibility and not having stray wires cut into your hand, and weight over the front end, suspension tuning or weight over the axles, and the product has gotten better. And I think people understand how to use it now, but it has literally taken 20 years to get to this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're talking about this all the time, even when it comes to some of the things that we've been, working on in the background for product development and everything, especially with our, title sponsorship of King of the Hammers and all of our involvement with the recovery crews out there and everything. It was only like 7 years ago that Hans devices were required.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And people threw a fit about it.
Yep.
And like, I would never get in a race car without wearing a Hans device. You know what I mean? Like,
not me anymore.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think about, like, it always takes time and, and forward thinking and the adaptation to that. But it's, it's really, I think it's not by chance, dude. We finally got that thing out into the market, and then we won Best New Product in Off-Road at SEMA last year for the 14K XD. So we were
it's funny.
very proud of that.
I don't even think about wire rope versus synthetic anymore. I just automatically go to synthetic, and it took me a long time to get there, but it's just not even a thought anymore. Like, that's how good it works, and my experience over time, and I wasn't gonna say I was a naysayer in the beginning, but I definitely was hesitant about thinking like this was the right way to go, and now it's not even a concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, especially when you problem solve some of these things when it comes to like how to, the maintenance of it, how to clean it, all these things. And I think there's still a lot of that, like, I think specific content. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's in the blog posts that are totally searchable in the history on the Warren website. But there's a lot more stuff that we can also get behind to champion that. So we're going to do a lot of that coming up in 26. There's going to be a ton more information that'll be coming out about that care and maintenance thing too as well. Just like I mentioned with the gloves. So there's going to be again, this is such a cool time that we have the opportunity to even empower the community even with more education about our products and even get closer with those people. Because I think there was a time where Warren functioned in a weird way because of so much internal changes, and it kind of operated as like a faceless, nameless entity for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it was always existing, and it had its champion stuff. And God rest her, man. Like, Jesse was like such a champion for the brand and the whole thing. But where were the actual employees that are part of this that are doing the job? And now they have the opportunity to be like the guy that's out there in front of everybody, and being so passionate about this industry and doing this, man. Again, it's the most fun thing ever in the world.
Your passion is palpable. I mean, it's that's one of the things I love about you is you could be talking about the tiniest little thing or the detail on a product that the engineer put in that totally makes the product, and you could be talking about the most expensive, wildly highest performance thing ever, and it's exactly the same. It doesn't matter what you're like. You're just as excited about a billet keychain from Factory 55 as you are for the
This whole
XP
new winch
win.
launch.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk about XP, because XD comes out and it kind of starts taking the place of Xeon, and you're moving into this new platform, and then you go, well, this thing's pretty rad, but let's just add like 50 things to it and call it the XP and make it even better. And you're going, I'm going down the list of like what that winch offers and what it can do. And it's silly. It's silly how much awesomeness is packed into that package.
So I'll make this statement too. So for me, like I'm pretty classic when it comes to the use and abuse of the winches. I primarily only use 8274s on everything that I build, and most of that is because for when we get into real world recovery, you get 150 feet of rope on a drum.
Yeah.
There's no heat in the drum, all these things, like, so there's something to be said about just like classic old things that just work.
We need to talk about 8274, but I'll do it after XP, because I've got a question for you on that. Okay.
So when it came into the XP, I had a XD 9000i on one of my first Jeeps I had.
Great
and
winch.
So that was like one of the only low mount winches I had ever used. And so, I've never been a total fan of low mount winches in general, but when this thing dropped for what it's capable of doing is just unbelievable, man. Like it's everything that XD is. So it's all of the same features, the OEM hardware, the gaskets, all of these things. But then it's like everything that basically the Platinum version of the Xeon, the original Platinum was, but improved. Because the problem with the Platinum beforehand was you had a dedicated wireless remote. It was not wired. And then there was no clutch lever. So everything was auto clutch, and it was all through the controller. Yep. Then it was the battery issue with the controller, right? Yep. And then people were like, well, the controller already dies.
Because I love that winch. I love the feature set, but I need to have those touch points, that mechanical man-machine interface. It can't all be digital. I still want to grab it and know that it's released, it's locked. That's just how I am.
100%. And it's also kind of foolproof, right? It also makes it to where like it's easier to deal with if you had an issue or a problem on the trail to fix. I mean, all these things. So it was bougie for what it was, but now XP took every problem that we ever had in the Platinum line and has addressed it and fixed it. So now you have all the same platform that XD was built on going into XP, but now there's a drum light. So it lights up the drum. So especially for the Toyota people, and when now all of those Toyota bumpers, like the winch is buried
underneath. Yeah.
So you never know if the rope is stacking up on one side of the drum or not, or if that could start to damage the tie plates in there. So now with that drum light, it's lighting up the entire assembly that's inside of there. So you can really see to make sure the rope is stacking evenly on the drum to prevent the rope from diving between the fibers, all of these things. It was a huge problem solve that came out of that. The other thing is that the brains of the thing are in the control pack. And in the control pack, the motherboard that's built in there with the contactor now also has a dynamic lighting feature that's next to the Warn logo. So when the winch is pulling and you're winching in, it lights up green. If it starts to overheat or it starts to get too much load, it flashes red to let you know, give you those warning signs. When the winch goes into free spool, the lights turn purple, so you can actually see that it's in free spool that needs to be re-engaged. And you can not only do this now via the remote, but you can do it via Bluetooth through the Hub app. But it also works. It also works manually, where we still put the manual clutch lever on the outside of the winch as well. So now you can disengage the winch, put it in a free spool from the hand remote that actually plugs into the control pack, so you don't have to worry about charging batteries and doing this thing. You can use the wireless option, which is built into the winch via the smart app through the wireless Hub app on your smart device, iPad, phone, whatever. And then you can also do it completely manually and be able to disengage it that way as well. And so those smart features is just upping the safety aspect and giving you more real-time feedback. And the same thing with the Hub app It'll show you load. It'll show you amperage draw. It'll give you all of this information right there in the palm of your hand. And it's pretty cool, man. It works
It's
so seamlessly. It's like magic.
as a
It really
fan
is.
of one of the best winches, low mount winches you've ever made, the 9.5 CTI that had the thermal feedback. It's so great to see a winch take that feature set and expand it and do it in this crazy smart visual way to where when you're away from the vehicle operating it, you know what's going on. That is, to me, I love that.
Yeah, man, and especially because every time that you really need to use it, it's always in the worst situation.
Always.
It's raining, it's at night, you're tired. You know what I mean? It's always in
All
those
the things.
situations. Yeah, man. And so to have that to be this new feature set to be built in there, and the fact that this entire product line is still built and assembled right in Clackamas, Oregon. It's coming right out of the factory there. It's not built in the same place that Harbor Freight winches are made.
Yeah.
Made right in Oregon and coming straight to you. And it's a very prideful thing for us. And man, I am so excited to have this thing to be now starting to get out into the market.
All right. Before we let you go, I want to talk about the 8274, maybe the most famous winch of all time. Maybe the probably the icon. If you think of a classic Warn winch, it's that tall, stacked winch. They're beasts. They came out in 1974, and on my flat fender, I have an original 8274, and it was bought in 1976. It was built in, I believe it was, I had Andy back a long time ago look at the serial number. I believe it was built in July of 76, so it's within the first 2 years of production. I have the original receipt from when my uncle bought it for $499, which was a lot back in 1976.
So cool.
So here's what I want to do. It is completely roached from, being almost, 50 years old, 49 years old. I'd love to figure out a way, get up to Oregon for the 50th anniversary of that thing, rebuild it, and make it run again.
Hell yes.
Can we do that?
Let's go, dude. 100% we can.
All right.
You go, because, dude, Fred Williams, our good buddy Fred,
Yeah.
right? Fred actually just came to the plant and assembled his own, like from start to finish, went through and assembled his own 8274. So we would
Rad.
love to have you up there on the show.
So was it a new? Was it
shop
the new
floor.
version?
New version, yep.
So how
So
rad would
for-
it be? The counterpoint to that is here's an original one, and we can still we have the technology, right? We can still
Yeah, dude.
rebuild it. I think that would be so freaking rad to come up
I'd
there,
love that,
bring you
Sean.
that winch, and make it run again. And even if we updated it with some newer electronics or whatever, I mean that platform is that platform.
Yeah, so that's what's so crazy about it, is because just like as when you have the drive shaft coming out of the motor and it hits that first gear set in the top housing, like that's one now all of the 8274s we still build at the plant now come with the 9.5 XP motor, and then the new there's no longer solenoids, right? It's an Albright contactor that we have specifically made. So there's an upgraded control pack and the whole thing. So now it takes that and modernizes the whole thing to make it working even that much better. And like the main shaft, right, that your winch and like the old school 8274s had an external snap ring on the outside that would hold the brake assembly together. Now it's a tapped machined screw that keeps the assembly together there. And man, with the future of the stuff that we have in mind that is going to be released, like, even in 77 years of business, just like what I just was saying about Factor 55 in product development, like, look, man, we're just getting started. I have stuff that I want to do.
I love it.
And change this industry. And I'm very, very excited to be, here with just the best people in the world to be able to make these products.
I'm so stoked. I haven't been up to Clackamas in a while. I've had a chance to be up at the factory a couple times and watch winches go together and literally watch, the raw materials in one door go out as widgets out the other door. And
isn't that wild?
Oh, it's awesome.
Such
and then
an
all the
experience, dude.
the
And
World War II broaching machines and stuff that are there.
So, dude, we just got a second one a few years ago. So now you have these two 18 feet tall, man, like hogging the raw
so
material,
cool.
making the gears for the winches, shaking the floor in the plant. Like,
You can feel it totally.
Oh man, yeah, it is. And so we have Broachzilla, and now the new one's called Kong. And they're right
Oh,
next
dude.
to each other. So
I love
we
it.
got Kong and Broachzilla. They're there at the plant.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Well, look, think about how we would make that happen and what parts it would take to get this thing. Do we want to do it as a resto, or do we do a resto mod and make it with some of the newer part? I'm down for whatever. It's basically a paperweight on the front of the flat fender right now. But I was looking at it, I'm like, this is an original within the first couple years of production. It's been 50 years. How rad would it be to rebuild this thing? Show people how they were made. What does a 50-year-old winch look like on the inside? Maybe show a difference between this is the original part and this is the new part of how it's been upgraded for when you buy a new one today, and use it as an educational tool to walk through, but then also rebuild this thing and get it usable again.
Oh my God, I'm in, Sean.
Dude.
I'm in.
All right.
We are doing that.
All right.
That is so rad. I can't wait. Would love to do that.
And the fact that I have the original receipt, right? Like, how cool is
dude,
that?
It's so crazy, dude. Oh my God.
So I think just the story around this particular winch is kind of awesome. It was, stuck on a flat fender, and it served its life in the ranch, and all the plug wires are all UV roached and all that, and it's ranchy fresh. But I just think like 8274s are like Volkswagen Beetles of winches, right? Like it doesn't take much to get them back and running, and they should be back and running. It's like a flat fender or anything like that. It deserves to go back to the factory and have some life breathed back into it. And I would just love to work with you and make that happen.
Oh man, I can't wait, man. I can't. We will definitely get that scheduled. And man, what a cool video we could put together for that. What a neat story, man.
For sure. Dude, thank you for hanging out with me today. And obviously you're gonna have to come back on because we've only scratched the surface. But I think we hit kind of the today things. But I know there's a pipeline, and you're probably just champing at the bit right now.
Yeah, man. There's gonna be a lot going on for going into next year specifically. We had some other big win, from after we won Best New Product in Off-Road at SEMA for XD. We put it on the front of our race Jeep. We have a two-door JL. We raced in the 4600 class at King of the Hammers this year. And, for those of you that listening, go check out the Warren YouTube channel. We were able to take, we actually just blew up our channel from 15,000 subscribers to over 200,000 subscribers in the last year.
Dang.
So the amount of content that we've been creating and what we're doing as far as, really being better with the community has been such a passion project of mine, but a really huge win. And so the 30-minute documentary from King of the Hammers it was so beautifully done, but it really shows also how we took our products and myself, one of my best friends, Sergio, that got to race KOH this year. It was our third year doing it, and we put the brand new Xeon XD on the front of that thing, and then took it out there and beat it through KOH, winched 25 times during the race. And we ended up taking fourth this year. We actually lost third place behind the Broncos by less than 2 minutes.
Oh, you're right there, dude.
Seconds, man. Yeah. So
right
it was
there.
like such a cool thing, to be like, yeah, man, we're not just building and making these things. Like, we're towing the line too, right? Like, this is a real passion for everybody that works within the organization. And so from there, it's now led out to we now are working on a full Warren and Factor 55 training and education program. So there's going to be a ton that's going to be released going towards that moving into next year as well, on top of all the new product releases and launches. So I cannot stress the amount of innovation and things that are coming out of this organization. And I am just so blessed and so happy to be a part of it.
Dude, I remember when you came on after they got Factor 55 and Warren changed ownership and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was worried about the future, and not every VC or buying company has treated some of these legacy brands right. But Warren is the same Warren today, or even better with the investment than it has been in the past. And it's always been one of my favorite companies. You've always been one of my favorite go-to guys in the industry. So I appreciate the support and the time. And if you guys are listening and you want to go check out the website, warren.com, and on X, it's Warren Industries, Facebook, Warren Industries, YouTube, www.warren.com, Pinterest, Warren Industries, and also Warren Industries on Instagram, and of course, Factor 55. Not, one-stop shop for doing everything, safety, recovery, all the things that should go with the winching the education, all that. Factor55.com, and on Facebook, Factor55, Instagram, and YouTube are also Factor55. So again, thank you for your time. I know you're smoking busy right now, but this is so great to have you on.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough, Sean. I'm so happy that, man, you're back on the swing of this thing, dude. And again, what you do for this industry is so phenomenal, man. And especially even from the podcast to OVR, and I mean, we just love you, dude, and love having you back here, man. And so I cannot wait to get together with you up at the plant and to do more of that stuff. It's going to be just what a great experience that'll be.
Well, hopefully I'll see you before then, maybe at SEMA or at, I don't know. There's a lot of events coming up, and I'll track you down.
Can't wait, my man.
All right, brother.
Cannot wait.
Great to talk to you. I'll talk soon.
You too.
Thank you again to Justin Andrews for carving out the time to join the show and catch us up to date on the latest products. This was an interview I've had in the queue for a long time, as I said at the beginning, and I'm so happy to finally get it out there. If you're looking for high-quality, made-in-the-USA, innovative recovery gear, you got to head to warren.com or factor55.com and check out the full line of products. They are awesome. And on that note, we've reached the end of this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. Sadly, of course. But don't fret, because if you want to keep the conversation going, you can follow us on social at Truck Show Podcast.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, oh, oh.
And if you want to be a part of the show, leave us a voicemail on the 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105, or send us your feedback, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. I know you guys are listening. I see the downloads, so tell me what you're up to. Leave me a message. I want to know what you guys got for Christmas, or what your rigs got for Christmas. Anything cool? Did you get a new rig for Christmas? Did you get any products from the show? Did you get any other products that you've been dying for and your awesome wife got you something? Let me know. truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, keeping the conversation going is super easy. If you're on Facebook, just join our Facebook group, the Podshed Insiders. Always good conversation and questions going on in there, and we'll check in there in a couple episodes. It's been a while since I played one of my favorite jingles. So again, the Podshed Insiders is where you want to go. So before I head out, I want to thank our sponsors, the companies that make the Truck Show Podcast possible. So first of all, AMSOIL. Of course, AMSOIL. AMSOIL.com. For those of you who love your vehicles and want the best synthetics, oil change kits, car care products, go online, buy what you need, and use the code Holman2025 for a UTV blocks kit for free before the end of the year. Also, awesome knives at a great price, especially when you use our code at checkout, Kershaw.KaiUSA.com. The code is 2TSP2025. And OVRMag.com if you want a subscription, free digital for a year, or if you want print for a discount, at Truck Show Podcast is the code there. So those are our sponsors. Those are the people that keep this thing going, and I appreciate all of you. I hope you're all having a great holiday break right now, and if you happen to be on the road traveling or driving, hopefully you're enjoying the Truck Show Podcast, and we're helping you get to your destination. Anyway, that'll do it for this time. Can't wait to do it again soon.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
And here's to hoping that Santa brings you all the accoutrements.
The accoutrement that you will need. Accoutrement?